3rd, 2024 Northampton County Council meeting. Mr. Kapora, will you lead us in the pledge? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Gafredo, will you lead us in a moment of silence or prayer?
Bow your heads.
Thank you. Ms. Shafnisky, will you call the roll?
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Corpora?
Here.
Mr. Giovanni?
Here.
Mr. Gafredo?
Here.
Mr. Heckman?
Here.
Ms. Keegan?
Here.
Mr. Kraft?
Here.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Here.
Mr. Warren?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Could I please have a motion to approve the minutes of September 19th, 2024?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
May I have an acclamation? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Next, we have courtesy of the floor, 5 minutes a person. We have 2 people signed up. First, we have Mr. James Ellis. Could you state your residence? And not, you just have to say your, come on up and say your town.
James Ellis, Stroudsburg. I'm a Northampton County employee. I'm going to donate my time to Michael Russ.
And then Mr. Russ.
As you know, my name is Michael Russ. I live in Lower Saucon Township. I am also a Northampton County employee. I am a correctional officer at Northampton County. My badge number is 382. I come here tonight to speak to you on behalf of Local 2549. I'm speaking to you on a couple subjects. As you're all aware, we were here a month ago. There was a person who came up here and spoke on our behalves. We had a prepared statement stated that the person was supposed to read, and there was sections of that statement that were taken out. And I think there was some misinterpretation or confusion of what we were here to actually speak about. We were here for 2 main reasons. One was the violation of the Home Rule Charter, which we spoke about, we told you guys about. Officer Edelman came up and spoke on behalf of the Home Rule Charter violation. We put that ball in your hands. What you choose to do with it is up to you. County executive came up and said that's in the grievance process. If it's in the grievance process, we'll go from there. It's pretty much plain white English of how it's written down, on what should happen if someone violates the personnel issues of people trying to transfer in the county. That's on you. The second issue we'd like to bring up, which I think I gave most of you, is, I'm sorry, maybe if I didn't give enough copies of the county, of our collective bargaining agreement, which is a public record. You can go online and look it up. There's a highlighted section there. In that section, it's Article 41, Section 9. There was a situation where they asked us to sit down in good faith and try to look at a new schedule. It's of the opinion of Local 2549. There's nothing wrong with our schedule at the jail. We have other issues at the jail, but our schedule works. It doesn't look like it's working now. It's for other reasons. But we sat down.
You have the floor, sir.
Oh, I heard someone say something in the background.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. So we have, that's our opinion of what's going on. We sat down in good faith to try to work things out. We had multiple meetings where we sat there and we discussed back and forth and tried to negotiate and give and take. They asked us what we'd want to possibly change our schedule. We told them. HR came back. They looked into one thing and one thing only. When that was denied, they said we didn't even look into any other stuff. How was that negotiating? I'm sorry. So we came to an impasse. We knew we weren't going to have anything negotiated out. When we came to our last meeting, HR sat down with us. They came in with a prepared statement and said, this is the last time we are going to meet about a schedule. So it's an impasse. We'll talk about it when it comes to a collective bargaining. All right. The next statement out of their mouth was they're going to start interpreting our contract different. And Mr. Heckman, you hit it right the last time. You said to him, Mr. McClure, aren't you guys in the middle of a contract? And we are. Now, in the middle of a contract, they're going to start changing things that we've done for 40 years at the jail. And one of the main issues is having officers cover each other when they get mandated. I'm not sure if you're aware of what mandates are, but when you come to work and you work 8 hours, and they just tell you, guess what? Yeah, you're not going home for another 8 hours. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have a specialist appointment the next day. It doesn't matter if you got to pick your kid up from daycare, pick your kid up from the bus. It doesn't matter if your wife dies of cancer and you got to go home and pick up your kid. I know we were called sob stories 2 weeks ago here, of what we got up here and spoke about. I'll go back to the sob stories a little bit later. But we sit there and look at it, how we're in the middle of a contract, and all of a sudden they're just going to change their interpretation of our contract. We don't want to do that. We'd like to have a harmonious working environment. We work together. They don't care. So we brought our attention to you guys. Officer Edelman got up. He read a statement from one officer who lost his young wife to cancer. It's a shame. But when we cover for him, when he has to go home to his 10-year-old daughter after what goes on, and our administration goes, sucks to be him, because you can't cover for him anymore, it's not right. You're going to hear other stories that go on and everything else like that. And when you do hear those stories, please come to me. Come to Officer Ellis. He is also on the E-Board. I'm on the elected board. I'm on the E-Board too. Come to us. We'll set it straight. I just had to set Tom Ticely straight yesterday. He had a different opinion on what was going on. And when I spoke to him, all of a sudden, boom, you can get literally like a cartoon. You can see the light bulb go off on his head that, oh, that's what's going on. Yeah, that is what's going on. I'm not here to negotiate with you. And I'd like to go into more detail with a lot of stuff with you. But you also have to understand something. Me being a correctional officer, I have to watch my P's and Q's what I say up here. Anything I could sit there and say that they can determine to be security related, I can get in trouble for. I'm telling you all stuff of what's on public notice that we go on to. I had every intention of being here 2 weeks ago to discuss with you after what happened there, but it clashed with a family event, if you want to call it that. So I wasn't here 2 weeks ago, but I'm here today. I just want to clarify what we were here for a month ago. We're not a gaggle of people who sit over here in the corner and make a disturbance during the meeting. We sat here professionally and listened and talked. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a public speaker. Am I nervous? I'm nervous as hell right now standing here for multiple reasons. But I couldn't just sit there and let it go by. That's what we were here for a month ago, and that's what we talked about. Now, going back to 2 weeks ago, there was a statement made here in Old Business. In that statement in Old Business, it was told that the correction officers, if we would accept our contracts that were offered to us by the county, we'd be, 4 to 5 steps higher than where we are right now. So I just brought you a little paper. I think you all have a copy of it, of our last 3 contracts. The contract we're in now, the contract before that, and the contract before that. You take the time to look at me with it. The contract from January 2018 to December 20th. The offer from the county was 1 step and 2 GPIs. I'm sure everybody, GPI, gross pay increase. We didn't accept it. We went to binding arbitration. When we came out from binding arbitration, we were awarded 175 cents for January 1st. Another January 1st, we got another 75 cents, and then we got a 2% raise. So we did lose a step in that contract when we went to arbitration. We did. I will admit we lost 1. The next contract was with COVID. When we sat there with COVID, we were understanding. We knew, hey, this world is in shambles right now. We don't know what's going on. We don't know if people are dying. Everything else is going on. But we're the correction officers. We're the ones who went to work every day during COVID. We didn't shut down. We didn't get paychecks to sit at home. We went to work. And we caught COVID at work. I'm a perfect example of a person who caught COVID at work. I got COVID 3 times when I was in that place. And the hardest part about catching COVID 3 times was the first time I caught it. Because the hardest part about it was going home and giving it to my kid. When I got COVID the first time, it was like a head cold. Kicked the hell out of me, and I was laying on a couch for a couple of days. But 2 days later, my daughter got sick. It affected my daughter. It rotted her lungs. She was in there hacking and coughing thing. And you want to know, as a parent, which I'm assuming many of you are, to give something to your child that you could have presented by not going in that place, it sucked. But it's my job, and my daughter understood it. I understand it to this day. But getting back to the contracts, I'm going to get off on a tangent here. But the next contract they offered us was from 2021 to December 2022, and that was during the COVID era. And guess what? We accepted it because we understood the world's going crazy. But we were just told the last county council meeting that we reject every contract that comes to us. Our union tells you, no, reject them. No, we don't. We accept some, and we accepted that one. And we moved on. And we were told, don't worry about it. You take this contract, we're going to hook you up next time because you're going to work with us, and we're going to work with you. So in comes the next contract. And this is the contract that was just settled from January 23 to December 25. And we sat there and we saw the offer. We got the exact same offer as everybody else in the county did, which is fair. I'll admit to that. You also got to remember, we were also the people that came to work during COVID. We didn't get the chance to sit at home and collect a paycheck. We came to work and we did our jobs like we always do. And I'm proud to be a correctional officer. I put my uniform on with pride every day when we come to work. So we went to binding arbitration. When we went to binding arbitration, we came out. This was the offer, one step, and a 2.5 GPI. When we went to binding arbitration, we came out. We came out a little better that time. We got 5%, a step, and a step. So in these last 3 contracts, if you look it up, we've lost 1 step. Not 4 or 5 or 3 or 2, we lost 1. If you want to go back 40 years, you probably add up to 4 or 5.
1 minute, sir.
1 minute. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention with the contracts. The last thing I'd like to sit there and say, there was another comment made. Officer Edelman when he was here, he read a statement from Officer Harstein. Officer Harstein was the one officer who lost his wife to cancer. Officer Harstein's a friend of mine. And to have people sit there and counsel and tell us that we came up here and we told sob stories, and we're sitting here talking about an officer who lost his wife to cancer, it's a little more than a sob story. There's reasons that we cover each other for these mandates. I guess I'm running out of time, but thank you very much for your time and allowing me to speak. If you have any questions, please reach out to Local 2549. I'll be glad to answer it. If anybody needs any more copies of the agreement, it's on public record. It's on the county website. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here in the audience that wishes to speak to public comment? Okay, that's it. Mr. McClure, do you have a report?
Yes. So after all the lawsuits were resolved, and the Secretary of State finally approved our ballot, we received our ballots yesterday. As of today, we updated this at about 4:30, we have received 44,811 mail-in ballot applications. And we expect that number to be over 45,000 by tomorrow morning. The first day, about 300 ballots went out. And then, because we got them, relatively late in the day. Today, we started the day with 3,354 ballots going out, and as of about 4:30, 7,974 ballots have been mailed. Interestingly, on the first day of ballot on demand, where you can get your paper ballot and vote in person, 51 people voted ballot on, and today 52 people voted ballot on demand. So we didn't track it last time. Now we're tracking people who actually vote at the counter so that we can have this particular metric to measure how that's going. So that is our election update for today. We also have Tina, if you could come up. Tina has some stuff for you. One of the things we've been doing is digital navigation and training. And what is that? What we're trying to do is make the internet more accessible to folks who are either senior citizens who don't have access to devices or affordable internet, or to young people who don't have access to devices or affordable internet. And we're bringing folks together to train folks, because believe it or not, there is a desert out there of people who don't have either the affordable access they need, or if they do, the ability to navigate the internet. And as you know, you can't get around now unless you can navigate on the internet. So next week is Digital Navigator Week, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that with you tonight. And we're going to introduce you to some of the people who are trying to help raise folks into the middle class, right? Because that's what's so important here in the 21st century. If you are not internet literate, or you don't have the access you need to the internet, you are not going to be able to succeed in the competitive economy that is developing. With the advent of AI, this is becoming more and more important every single day. And we're doing what we can with the broadband funds that we have received through the Infrastructure Act, amongst other federal appropriations, to make these things as accessible as possible. And as you know, we have also begun refurbishing old laptops and cell phones that the county has taken out of commission. And we are making them available to institutions that are forward-facing with these kinds of populations that we're talking about. Do you have the? Yep. So I just want to take a little time to talk with you about what's going on here. So broadband services play an important role in civic and cultural participation, lifelong learning, and access to essential services for Northampton County communities. Digital equity ensures all individuals and communities have the information technology capacity needed for full participation in our society, democracy, and economy. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted how the digital divide impacts our residents, and access to reliable, affordable internet connection is a social determinant of health, with higher COVID-19 mortality associated with a lack of internet connection. As digital skills are a gateway for career advancement and crucial for economic growth, intergenerational wealth building, and prosperity, broadband services are essential infrastructure for the 21st century and play an important role in providing access to knowledge and opportunities from communities locally and around the world. Digital Inclusion Week is sponsored by the National Digital Inclusion Alliance and aims to raise awareness of solutions addressing home training and support programs. So what we're doing is we're resolving that the week of October 7th through the 11th, 2024, is Northampton County Digital Inclusion Week, in raising awareness of advancing digital equity and being committed to closing the digital divide. And Tina is spearheading our efforts in Northampton County. She's doing a tremendous job at it, and I wanted to present her with the proclamation so she could share it with her team. Tina? And we have leaders from the community with us here tonight. These are volunteers who are going all over this great county of ours to help with digital inclusion. And our first person we want to recognize is a tremendous City of Bethlehem employee. Her name is Janine Santoro. And Janine, could you come up? Janine, can you talk a little bit with council about the importance of this process?
Sure.
Introduce yourself, tell them what you do. I'm not sure they all.
Hi, friends. My name is Janine Santoro. I currently serve the City of Bethlehem as the Director of Equity and Inclusion. I'll just give you a brief synopsis. Before that, I was working at the Southside branch of Bethlehem Area Public Library and was on the front lines of folks that needed internet, needed broadband access. These are folks from New Bethany Ministries. These are folks that are facing homelessness, facing a number of issues. But to sum it up, when I joined the City of Bethlehem, we also found that there were folks, for example, that are in Bethlehem Housing Authority that are foregoing different things that they might need in favor of internet access because they're spending money on internet access instead of some of their needs. So at that time, we had the Affordable Connectivity Plan, and that was going to come to an end. But at that time, we were trying to figure out how do we get this out to more people. There was no systemic way of reaching those folks to get them to access that. And so we found out, I had worked with Service Electric and Astound. Basically, Bethlehem Housing Authority is split. All their properties are split between those two service providers. And between both of them is only about like 8 to 13% of the folks that qualified for affordable connectivity were actually taking advantage of it. So for us in the city, this was about how do we reach these people? How do we get them signed up to take advantage of this? Fast forward, ACP ended. We began wonderful training through Northampton County, through NDIA, and Lowe Smith provided training for so many of our third places, our municipalities, our community centers, all those folks, to create this digital navigator model. So now we are kind of creating a consortium of people that can be in these third places and work with our folks that are either don't have affordable internet, don't have internet access. We can challenge those FCC maps that are saying that certain parts of the county are served, when really we know that's not the lived experience of folks. And so there's a systemic nature and a personal nature to each of these stories, and we're able to address it through this Digital Navigator Coalition. So we're just so thankful for the training and so thankful that we can come together in this way. And I really want to thank Tina for leading these efforts, because without her really continually inviting people to the table to participate and create these opportunities, I think we will see a difference in the years to come in people that have access to devices, affordable internet, and we can challenge systemically those FCC maps. So thank you so much.
So when we did the last training, we talked with our trainers about folks who, the folks that really Janine's talking about here, and we also talked about senior citizens. And I know that the United Way, Carmen Bell is here with us, and she is one of our volunteers, and they're focusing on making the Northampton County and the entire Lehigh Valley more livable for folks as they get older. And certainly, you know, with so much of your medical appointments and the testing and all of the things that happen being online, it's so important to have the United Way as a partner with us in this endeavor. Carmen, would you come up?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Executive McClure and Tina. Yes, we're excited to be a part of this initiative as we try to build a community, help to build a community alongside our county and municipal partners that is inclusive and respectful of people at every stage of their life. We know that equity and inclusivity is a big, important part of that. We realize that there are people who do not have access to the internet, either because they can't afford it or it's not offered in their area, or a combination of both. And so when Northampton County started to push out this idea, we said we wanted to be a part of that. We want to get other people at the table who are focusing on making sure that broadband internet services are available for everyone, regardless of their age, their capacity, or their ability to pay. So I'm very happy to be a part of it, and I'm glad that Executive McClure and that Tina invited me to this table so that we could push that out among all of the groups that we know about. Thank you.
And you know, it's wonderful to have the city of Bethlehem working with us here. It's wonderful to have the United Way here. And Holly Bennett from the Nazareth Library is here. And libraries are one of the places that are forward-facing with folks who don't have necessarily the resources to access the internet. So Holly, come on up here. Holly, would you explain to council how this potentially benefits some of the people that the Nazareth Library serves?
Thank you for allowing me to speak to you this evening. The Memorial Library of Nazareth and vicinity serves approximately 30,000 patrons in our service area. And Nazareth, much like Bethlehem, we serve individuals every day that don't have access to computers. There's a general misconception that maybe in our specific community that there's more accessibility, but the reality is that every day in my library, at the Memorial Library of Nazareth and vicinity, I have all demographics, all age demographics coming in to use computers, asking for help with workforce development, because they're not familiar with the technology that many of us have the access to and the education of. So being a part of this initiative, and I want to thank Executive McClure and Tina for allowing me to come to the table, because I think this voice of a public library, and a small one at that, is a really important one, because we have to continue to serve all of our communities, whether they're small or large.
Thank you, Holly. So Sarah Purfoy is here from the Easton area. Is Sarah here? Yes. Hi, Sarah. How are you? Council, how this is going to affect folks in Easton.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I work at the Easton Area Public Library. I'm very happy to be part of this initiative. I'm very grateful to Tina for bringing us all together. But at the library, similar to my colleagues here, I work with people face to face every day, do not have the same opportunities. Individuals who are experiencing homelessness have never held a mouse in their hand, do not understand what a browser is. And so much of what I try to do is bring those skills to people every single day. And this platform hopefully will make that reach even broader. Thank you.
Thank you. As you can see, we are always talking about how to feed folks, how to get roofs over folks' heads, how to bring the essential wraparound services that our most vulnerable people know. And people, I think, and we're beginning to build this case here tonight with these wonderful folks, build the wall to have folks understand why this is so important. So thank you very much for indulging us in this tonight. Thanks, ladies. Much
Thank you,
appreciated.
everyone. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. McClure regarding his presentation or anything else?
I just have, how do we define what affordable internet access is?
So that's a great point. So as Janine just said, if you're giving up other expenditures in your life so that you can get on the internet, so I think she's thinking of folks that maybe are at Pembroke or Marvine, and, mom works from home and the kids have online work to do, and they're sacrificing in other areas of their life because it's too expensive for them. One of the things the city's trying to do is partner the families with Service Electric or RCN to get the discounted rates, because a lot of people don't know about them, or they
No,
can't.
I don't know about them.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know what the
that's what we're trying to do.
cutoff is.
Right,
I
that's-
mean, that's been, as well as I do, that we often talk about affordable housing, and it's a great word, but there's a cutoff.
Yep.
And I guess the question would be, I know some seniors, being a senior, who won't spend the money on it. I'm serious. They just won't. They say, I don't need to be a bull. But, and fine, I think there are a lot of people who probably want it and can't afford it. But I guess I was just trying to dig down, because as
Yep.
policymakers, we have to get beyond words to specifics.
Yep.
And the specific would be, who will end up paying for their internet service?
Right.
And who will not?
Yeah,
That's
we
a
won't
fair
be,
question.
under our program, we won't be paying for their
Well, no, I
internet
mean
service.
individuals. Because we represent all the county
Right.
residents, those that don't have homes, those that are poor,
Right.
those that are less than poor, more than a little bit poor, or more poor. And I guess those are the things I was just curious
Yep.
about. And I'll stop in Bethlehem sometime and get that information, because I am curious about that. I agree with the web,
Thank you.
the access, but we get into details, and that's what I've always been a fan of, is details.
Any other questions? I have one.
Sure.
And it's just a reminder, because I know we heard it a couple weeks ago, but this vote on demand, the
Yes.
last day for that is
October
again?
29th.
And the last day for mail-in ballots, again, is,
29th. That's the last day to have your application in.
but not to be received.
No,
Received
your
is on
mail-in ballot's
election day.
8 p.m. Election Day.
Thank you.
And this is not typical, but we are open 8:30 to 8, Monday through Friday, and we are now open from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. So folks, the office is open, so folks can come in and vote if they want to.
What time on Saturday again?
2 p.m., close.
9 to 2?
Yep, and of course, the rotunda will be open, so the drop box will be available to folks there too.
Are there any other updates since the last 2 weeks on,
No,
in
our drop
terms
bo-
of any legal challenges, or not with
No.
the ballot, but other
No,
instances?
I think Mr. Vargo prepared a memo for you. There was the $1 million that an activist attorney and 2 county commissioners from Fulton County are going to be on the hook for interfering with the 2020 election. And recently, a voter registrar in Colorado was just sentenced to, I believe, 9 years in prison or something for making their voting machines available to unqualified outside forensic examiners. So there's that. That's it. That's all that's new.
But nothing else about the amicus brief or the?
No, nope.
The signatures versus none, that's still hanging?
No, there are no rulings yet.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else, questions? Thank you very much, sir.
you.
Next, we have old business. public hearing of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Providing for an Agreement for Water Monitoring Station T on Cooperating Public Lands with the U.S. Geological Survey." Misters Kraft and Warren introduced this ordinance at the September 19, 2024 meeting. Are there any questions or comments from the public regarding this matter? Any discussion from council? Call for the vote.
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Ms. Keegan?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Corpora?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Is there any other old business to discuss?
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
we all received a memorandum from Michael Amelia and Steve Barron to Mr. McClure going over the reconsiderations of available real estate versus the bond for a new parking deck and building. And during that email, the recommendation was basically that we should build new because there was no properties that fit the description or the needs of the county, and that leasing would be too expensive, and that there was only 2 buildings for sale in the Easton, which county seat, in order to fulfill the requirements for the state to have an election office in there. I was able to find a building on Easton Nazareth Highway, 3729 Easton Nazareth Highway. It's 36,000 square foot. It's a relatively new building, 3 acres, so a lot of parking, and it's listed for $6 million. I contacted a real estate agent, and they, real estate market's pretty over infatuated with real estate in the commercial sector, so they were negotiable too. That building could be gutted, fitted out for about $70 a square foot. All in, you could be around $8.5 million for a project like that. And the parking deck as well, I believe it's expandable, and the repairs to make to that parking deck to make it last decades longer could be in the $2 to $3 million range, and you could put another level on top of that as well, because that thing could go up to expand how much parking we need. So I don't think it's as simple as we need to do this and we need to spend $50 million or 60 or 40, whatever the number is. I think we could do this for 30% of that, and I think we could satisfy all the needs that the county has, do it for a lot less, especially when interest rates are high and they're coming down. I think being patient would probably be a prudent thing here. Food for thought.
Hold on, let him finish, let him finish.
That's all I have. You're good.
Can I just ask clarification? So you announced it, is there something that you want as an action item, or you just wanted to
Nope,
inform?
just something for people to think about, because we're not doing anything on the agenda tonight. But we have brought it up a couple times. We've talked about it. There's memos going around, so it's obviously something that we've been knowing about, thinking about, talking about. Just wanted to make sure people knew that there are buildings out there that are for sale. They are negotiable because there's a lot of them out there. Commercial real estate is in high supply.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Heckman?
I just want to know, would you repeat the square footage, price, and the address?
So the sale price is $6 million listed. The address is 3729 Easton Nazareth Highway, which is on 248. The building size is 36,748 square feet. It was a medical office building, so there's going to be a lot of, 10-foot high ceilings with partitions that
Yeah.
are easy to knock down and build whatever you want.
What you're talking about. Thanks. That's all. Just wanted to ask.
Mr. Warren?
Mr. Gofredo, I think you said $8 million to outfit it?
No.
That would-
No. All in, like I said, that negotiable price, I would hope somebody would negotiate, maybe get it for $5 million, and $70 on the high-end square foot fit-out price. I ran some numbers. You could get it anywhere, all in for buying and fitting out, from the $7.5 to $9 million range for that building.
Do you have a breakdown of this at all or anything?
I do this for a living. That's typical renovation prices, $65 to $75 a square foot. You're not doing structural steel, you're not doing mechanicals. HVAC systems are up there, electrical's in the walls. You just need to put up new walls, drywall, new electric in the walls, which is all relatively lower expenditures. When you start doing site development, you start doing concrete and steel, that's where the heavy expenses are. So this is, like I said, yes, I understand that the county needs space, but we are spending the most amount of money in order to get that space. And I think there are more affordable options out there.
I mean, I'd like to see a breakdown then of what money is going to be going to what, because I think with regard to what we have seen thus far from the administration.
I haven't seen anything hard. There's no
Wait, let him finish-
architecturals.
let
No,
him
I'm sorry,
finish.
go ahead, I'm
No,
sorry, Jeff.
The presentations that have been provided to us that do show the square footage and the information that's been given to us over, I think we've talked about this approximately 6 times at this point. I'm glad you're bringing it up, Mr. Gafredo, because I was actually going to bring up this as a discussion point as well in terms of hoping to have the bond on the agenda for our next meeting. We had a finance committee meeting about it recently, and I know that I've talked with Aileen about bond counsel and them having to redraft an ordinance to get it on the agenda for our next meeting. But, I mean, I'd love to see further information just based on, I mean, we're just getting numbers
So-
right now from you. So, like, I'd like to see a plan of action, whether or not Mr. Amelie's been part of that discussion as we're moving forward here. He is the Director of Public Works, and I do respect the fact that he's an expert at this as well. So,
And if,
see a little bit more.
if I may, the presentation Mr. Amelie had was very good, but there were no architectural drawings. Nothing went out to bid. There are no hard numbers from actual contractors. So the problem is that we'll be basically approving something that we hope will be in that number figure range. But once it goes out to bid and once we get actual drawings, that's when we'll find out what the job will actually cost. So theoretically, the range of error is going to be smaller on my end because there's a lot less unknowns. The building's there, everything is there. We would basically be able to say, okay, well, what is our fit-out price? This building, a new building, there's a lot more variables.
I mean, and again, it was my hope that we could have the bond on the agenda for the next meeting. I'm worried about the parking deck. I am extremely concerned about that. I know other members of this council are extremely concerned about it as well. It is a public safety hazard. It needs to get taken care of. Our elections office, I was in the elevator with one of the staff members today, and she's got a bunch of stuff on a dolly that she's bringing up here. It's absurd that they have to move documents and voter information from room to room to room to room. We need one concise area to be able to do this, especially a core function of this county government. So I would like to have this brought up at our next meeting and have it on the agenda, Madam President.
But I understand that you and Aileen have worked out a mechanism to do so, or she told you what needs to happen for it to happen?
Yeah, with regard to bond counsel.
Yeah,
Of course, yeah, and new.
And advertisements, so
and
whatever she
advertisement as
needs
well.
to do. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just one more comment on the parking garage. That parking garage can be repaired. They have in this email $21.8 million estimation for demolition, parking deck construction, site development, and owner's costs. And like I said, that parking deck is expandable. So theoretically, you use the same piers and foundations and go up. Make repairs to what's existing, put new facades on the pebble concrete on the facade. You can put new pavement over top of the concrete, and you can put netting if you think there's concrete that's falling and is going to pop below. We could do that for a fraction of that $21.8 million and serve all the needs that the county has. So for us to say what we ought to do and what we need to do, we just need to remember, this is not our money. Lot of economic hardship in the county, and we're taking money from people who are, at the end of the day, people are sacrificing now, and we're going to be spending $60 million to build new buildings for ourselves when we could do it for a lot cheaper. I think that's my point of view, and I understand everybody has their own point of views, but I believe it would be the prudent thing to do to at least look into other options. I'm not saying we don't have to do nothing. I'm saying we could do other things. That's all.
Thank you. Any other old business? Moving on to new business, we have the introduction of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance approving a land exchange between the County of Northampton and 7378 Airport Road LLC for the use of the land for the benefit of the Norbath Trail and needed to assist in intersection improvements at Airport Road as follows. Portion of land from the County of Northampton deed dated December 23, 1980, and recorded on January 7, 1981, in Deed Book Volume 622, page 1030, to 73878 Airport Road LLC, and a portion of land from 7378 Airport Road LLC, deed dated December 12, 2023, and recorded on December 19, 2023, in Deed Book 2023-1, page 242269, to the County of Northampton. Would someone sponsor that?
Sure.
Tom, and Ron, you want to co?
Sure, why not?
The public hearing, debate, and possible vote will be held on October 24th, 2024 meeting. Next, we have consideration of a local share account grant for recovery resolutions, Northampton and Lehigh counties. Mr. Brown, will you introduce the resolution?
Resolution approving to apply for and accept funds to the local share account, Northampton and Lehigh counties, on behalf of Recovery Revolution, Inc. Whereas the PA Horse Race Development and Gaming Act, Act 2004-71, as amended, has established the Pennsylvania Gaming Local Share Account, known as the local share account, under the Commonwealth Financing Authority, or CFA, for the purpose of distributing 2% of the gross terminal revenues of certain licensed gaming facilities in an orderly and timely fashion to support and enhance community and economic well-being and mitigate the impact of gaming and related activities. And whereas the Northampton County Department of Community and Economic Development has prepared all the documentation necessary to submit a request for this funding as the pass-through entity on behalf of Recovery Revolution, Inc. Now, therefore, be it resolved by Northampton County Council that the County of Northampton does hereby request Northampton and Lehigh County's local share assessment grant in the amount of $129,810 from the CFA to be used for Recovery Revolution, Inc. building improvements to improve the safety and usability of the confidential counseling office located at 109 Broadway in the borough of Bangor. It is further resolved that the Council of Northampton County does hereby designate the county executive to execute all documents and agreements between the County of Northampton and the CFA to facilitate and assist in obtaining the requested grant, and that the Director of Northampton County, DCED, is designated as the second signatory on all documents and agreements.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the matter?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, I missed some committee meetings. If I'm trying to remember, Recovery Revolution, Inc., was that the organization that was here before? Are you here? Yep. Oh, yes. Weren't you here before some years back, and there was a big discussion about? Well, no, I meant that, yeah, please. I just wondered, at that time, the county, there was a concern between your funding and what you were asking for and what you needed, and the Department of Human Services. That's all behind us now, and that was all cleared up?
Yes, sir. Administration changed and everything's been wonderful.
Okay, so you're all on the same page?
Yep.
Yeah, okay,
No issues with funding, with, we're getting people that need to get help and they're getting help. So yes.
okay. And the grant itself, is the grant coming through Community Economic Development or from through Human Services?
Yeah, it's an LSA grant, which is actually from the gaming company.
Right.
And in order to apply for an LSA grant, you need a pass-through organization. And actually, you were the pass-through organization for our grant just last year.
Right.
We got half of our funding, though. They didn't fund the entire project.
No, I understand
Oh,
that,
sure.
that
So you
mechanism.
remember, we had the Gaming Authority,
Yes.
which was formed to hand out the slots revenue.
Right.
And then the legislature took it back
was
from us.
dumped, right.
Yeah, stole it from us, I like to say. And now we have to apply through these grants to get some of that money back.
Right,
That's what we're
so
doing.
I guess then, so you apply to get that money through DCED in conjunction with Human Services? I mean, who's ultimately making I'm concerned when it comes to human service organizations, who's making that final determination?
Well, so we don't make the determination. The potential grantee needs a municipal partner to help them with that, and we usually do that through DCED. But drug and alcohol is across all things that happen with funding that flows from the county to our partners in the community. But, you know, Janet has, as the grantee, she has some independence with respect to how she utilizes the grant, as long, in other words, we don't control how she uses these LSA grants.
And that wasn't even close to what I was saying.
Oh, okay. But I misunderstood you.
Yeah, I mean, she knows what she's doing, she's been here before, she's done
Right.
it. I understand the mechanism we have with the state. All I'm trying to figure out is, and she knows, we don't need to question her, that's.
Right.
There's a process, though, when it has something to do with the Human Services Division, that grant or funds come, there should be some kind of discussion with the actual Director of Human Services or the head of the division as part of the process for awarding a grant. Has that happened?
No, but I think Janet can tell, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've spoken to Kathy Jurley about this.
Okay.
But however, it doesn't come through her funding. She wants our building to be safe and secure. Just from that point, but it wouldn't be her decision specifically. My understanding is
Yeah,
that.
so she's across it, but it's not required by law.
Well, I'm not, exactly. It's not required by law.
Right.
I just think it's a good idea, personally speaking, one of 9 who's elected. It's a good idea when you talk about human services, that I know we have a community economic development department, and we've shifted a lot of stuff to them over the years. Not just for you, but I mean, look, I was there when the department was created, and I was there when we argued about, we're going to do all human services and we don't need you. Well, you don't know anything about human services, no offense. So I guess my point is, while the law doesn't require anybody to talk to the Human Services Director, I would hope when a grant is being given through DCED that affects human services and the people they serve, that at least there is communication. It sounds like she said there is communication, and they agree with it. So, okay, that's all. I just wanted to make sure there was touching of bases.
I'm pretty sure Kathy Jurley is, not just with respect to Janet and her organizations.
Yeah.
She's involved in every partner we have. She knows what's going on with all of them, and certainly Kathy is aware of these grants.
Well, yeah, okay, fine, that's great. That's what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I just think despite the law.
We're not just giving money out.
No, but I just think that when it comes to a grant in human services, I said this process was started in an administration I was in.
Right.
And I didn't necessarily approve of everything, and I still don't, where we were going to shift all the stuff to the DCED, including human service type grants, and at times, people were consulted. At times, it just bypassed the entire department. I think that's wrong, and I'm just stating that. I'm glad you talk with her. I'm sure you do. I have no problem with anything other than the system, how we do it, the process. Mr. Warren has mentioned process. The process, and I think that's what I was curious about.
I think Janet and I both agree with you.
Yeah, I was going to say to Mrs. Morris, I think this is a process, not a content issue. So I'm
Yeah,
sure you know
no,
the
it has
difference.
nothing to do
Can
with.
I ask, is this, I see the second one that's coming up, so it's an equal amount from both pools because the Monroe County one is next, or is it a total amount to be split through both?
So the recommendation from Rebecca Sanchez was to do both total amount, because like last time we did that and we got 60,000 from one. So to leverage the amount as much as we possibly can, we are submitting independently to both for the full amount.
And whatever you get lucky to get back, you get.
Exactly.
Okay, and it's looks like it's for building improvements and not for any kind of services or salaries.
That's correct.
Any other questions or comments? Call for the vote.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Ms. Keegan?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft? Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Corpora?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the Monroe County side. Mr. Brown, will you also introduce?
Yeah, whereas the Northampton County Department of Community and Economic Development has prepared all the documentation necessary to submit a request for this funding as the pass-through entity on behalf of Recovery Revolution, Inc. Now, therefore, be it resolved by Northampton County Council that the County of Northampton does hereby request a Monroe County Local Share Assessment Grant in the amount of $129,810 from the CFA to be used for Recovery Revolution, Inc., building improvements to improve the safety and usability of the confidential counseling office located at 109 Broadway in the borough of Bangor. It is further resolved that the Council of Northampton County does hereby designate the county executive to execute all documents and agreements between the County of Northampton and the CFA to facilitate and assist in obtaining the requested grant, and that the Director of Northampton County DCED is designated as the second signatory on all documents and agreements.
Thank you. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Ms. Keegan? Yes. Mr. Kraft? Yes. Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Corpora?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo? Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we have consideration of donation for Graysdale residents from the Friends of Graysdale Foundation Resolution. Mr. Brown.
Whereas Northampton County Home Rule Charter, Section 20210, provides that the county council shall have, among others, the following powers: to accept on behalf of the county any gifts of real property and to provide for the acceptance by any agency on behalf of the county of other gifts. And whereas the county executive forwarded a request on September 25th, 2024, from the Friends of Graysdale Foundation seeking to donate $3,000 to be used for Christmas presents for residents of Graysdale. Now therefore be it resolved by the Northampton County Council that it does hereby accept the donation of $3,000 from the Friends of Graysdale Foundation for resident Christmas presents.
Thank you. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Keegan? Yes. Mr. Kraft? Yes. Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Corpora?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Is there any other new business to discuss? Hearing none. Are there any council committee reports? Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
The Human Services Committee met earlier. We transacted most of the business on the agenda, and we did receive an update on Graysdale.
Thank you. Mr. Gofredo?
And the Economic Development Committee meeting met. We had a presentation from Sites for Hope, and we also discussed the EPA Brownfield project overview.
Okay, thank you. Are there any liaison reports?
I just have a question. I'm wondering when the county council is going to receive a report on the National Association of Counties Convention that you attended almost 3 months ago. Are we going to get a report from?
I'm not sure.
So taxpayers spent $3,100 for you to go there, and you're not going to give us a report?
I think I will give a report as I see fit when the business discussed there fits the topics that we have coming up on council, and I think several of them are coming up in the next few weeks.
Look forward to it.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Will that report also include Mr. McClure's trip? I know it was a blog reported on it, but it would be good to get a report, as you like, from the county itself. Yeah, good.
It's up to anybody who wants to. We could also do individual reports on our CCAP presentations that we attended when we were there in August. You know, anybody can report on anything at any time.
Reading a good book.
Okay, I'll look forward to that. Are there any liaison reports? Council clerk report?
None.
Solicitor report?
No.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Member, go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If there are young gentlemen here looking to get their papers signed for school, you should grab
Nah, I
an
don't-
agenda and come up. Are you here